Feeling broken, my wife, 34F, cheated on me, 35M, again, and I'm at my breaking point. Where do I go from here? It feels like my life is falling apart and I have no idea what to do, and I have no one I can talk to. Please excuse any typos. I'm pretty drunk right now. I've 35M, been married to my wife Jenny, 34F, for the last 10 years. We have two beautiful children, an amazing son, and a little warrior princess. I was very happy. To skip to the end. My wife cheated on me. Again, Jenny grew up in a very odd family. Think of a typical Bogan family from Australia if they were somehow also super spiro, ultra-conservative Christians. They were extremely clannish, and she grew up very sheltered. In particular, they were very anti-medication for any mental illness, and boy was there mental illness in that family. On the other hand, I'd being absolutely feral, attention-seeking, poor decision-prone dickhead growing up. I grew up in a very religious family, but I was what one would call a black sheep. Not long before we met, I had been living in a major city away from where I grew up, in a long-term abusive relationship. She was manipulative and prone to bursts of violence. At the end of it, I was actually still living with my ex, paying her rent, cooking of her, cleaning for her, while she was bringing other guys home. More of an unintentional, one-sided open relationship. I was drinking myself to unconsciousness every night. Things got pretty dark that I remember one night I was wondering about painless alternatives to life. It got really bad. Then for some reason I remembered the preaching in my childhood church and I asked God, if you're real, I need help. It felt like a massive hug enveloped me. I cried and became a Christian that night. I started going to church, for real this time. I prayed and that gave me the strength to reach out to an old friend and move back to where I grew up. It was at that church that I met Jenny. I had sworn off dating. I was not even remotely interested in dating. I'd also promised myself that I wouldn't passionately hug unless I was married. I'm aware that this is already developing into an essay, so I'll skip the details, but after becoming friends, we just grew to love each other. She pursued me. I even said no because I was still hurting, but she just kept loving me and encouraging me and pursing me. Please don't misunderstand. Jenny was a virgin. When I say pursue, I don't mean dirty talk and throwing herself at me. It was genuine and caring and loving. It was deep, and I had never experienced anything like that. I had never known that a woman like her existed, yet alone wants to be with me. We got engaged 1 year later and married the year after. It was amazing, and I could not have been happier. The woman of my dreams and my best friend wanted to spend the rest of her life with me. Then the first problem started. Because of the way she had grown up in her family, absence only had been stamped into her psyche, and she had some deep fears around making love. It was all heavy breathing and great foreplay, but when we got to the business end of things, she couldn't do it. I loved her, so I told her it wasn't a big deal. Every other part of our life was amazing, and I'd had enough crazy monkey time in the past that I was happy to wait. 2 years later, we still hadn't done it. I suggested counseling, talking to the women's pastor, talking to family. During this time, I read the 5 Love Languages book, and I was determined to be the best husband ever. I did all 5, every chance I could. I planned for it. She just kept losing it and saying that she wasn't a real woman, spiraling lower and lower. I kept encouraging her and telling her I love her no matter what. I later found out that her mother, who she was very close with before she passed away, had told her that since we hadn't consummated the marriage, that as far as God was concerned, we weren't really married. Can you believe that bollocks? Her mental health was just getting worse, and so I encouraged her to go out with her friends and get her mid off things. And she did a lot. It started slowly, but then she started going out every weekend. So what? I'd partied enough for a lifetime. How can I begrudge her getting pissed with her friends? Yeah? Then she cheated on me. First, I didn't even know about it. She just started being closed off and mean and so out of character. I kept asking what was wrong, but she would say the infamous nothing or I'm fine, or you're what's wrong because of something I did or didn't do. I thought it was just her still struggling, so I doubled down on the love and attention. Finally, she broke and told me that she had gotten drunk and been unfaithful. I was fucking crushed. I was devastated. She asked me if I was going to leave, but I told her I had made a vow for better or worse. I won't pretend it wasn't bad. Again, I don't want to extend this essay, but there were some massive struggles, fights. We finally got some marriage counseling, and Slowly, things got better. We built trust again. One of the things that came up in counseling was that trust was a choice. So I chose her. I chose to trust her each and every day. Our love became deeper and better than ever. We spent 3 years living in domestic felicity when we decided to try for children. Jenny was also worried that if we didn't try soon, we'd have trouble. So we had 2 kids under 2. A pigeon pair. We were so happy. Anyone who has had kids knows how amazing and yet how tough this can be. If you haven't had kids, you have no idea, why kids are now 4 and 6, and over the last 6 months, Jenny started struggling again. Really manic highs and dreadful lows. I've often encouraged her to see a therapist or psychologist because she often has erratic behavior. She has our whole marriage. She gets massive manic highs and crashes with periods of depression, but we get through it. I'm not a medical professional in any way, so I'm not going to try and diagnose her, but I'm diagnosed on the autism spectrum, and so I had lots of exposure to psychologists when I was younger, and as a teen I had a fascination with psychology. I can see lots of indicators that make me think Shu could benefit with professional client-centered assistance. But again, because of her family, she thinks that any suggested to get help is me calling her crazy. Tio, meet the bills. I'm working around 60 plus hours per week, but every spare moment I have I spend with the kids with her. All of my friends have drifted away over the past 5 years, but why should I care? I had the woman of my dream, right? I have the 2 most phenomenal kids in the world right now. What could be more important than that? I have less time with them, so I try to show all 5 love languages to all of them, save for quality time as I have so little time to spare. I never want any of them to doubt that they are loved beyond measure. I mean, between the kids and work, Jenny and I had very little time together, and when we did have time together, one or both of us, we always tired, and our matrimonial polka had become at best monthly. This is a normal thing that families go through. It's just a season and we'll get through it, right? I feel like a fucking moron. Jenny started hanging out with her family more and more. She'd go out partying with her sister, or her cousin, or some church friends. They're family, so it's okay, I thought. The people she's going out with are Christians, so it's okay, I thought. I even encouraged it. She was low more often, and no matter what I tried, I couldn't get her out of her funk. But when she spent time with her family or friends, she seemed to come home refreshed. I can't be her everything. So whenever she wanted, I took the kids so she could fill her social battery and get that need met. I am most defiantly not a people person, and with young kids and no one that wife trusts to watch them but us, it seemed like finally I could help her. And then she started acting closed off and mean. So out of character. Our bedroom hot yoga also became completely non-existent. I saw the signs, so I confronted her. Yeah, she did it again. With 2 different men. One guy when she was high. Another when she was stone cold sober, but she felt like she was free of her life. Not a direct quote, but a paraphrase. I have no one I can talk to. I know my family, and if my mom found out, she'd burn everything down. I have barely spoken to my friends in 5 years, so how do I say, hey, I know we haven't spoken in ages, but her is a giant pile of shit for you to wade, though. I don't believe in divorce. God said that marriage is for life. But I've been praying and I'm getting nothing. No big rush of love and peace. No calm assurance. Nothing that I feel like I'm back in my previous life I had left all those years ago. Giving my everything to someone who gives very little back and cheats. Almost nothing back, if I'm honest. She's not violent like my ex was, but I'm starting to see that she might be just as manipulative and deceptive. With her mental health the way it is, I don't even care too much that she cheated. I care that she was gaslighting me and lying to me and giving half-truths. At first, when I kept pushing, she told me that something almost happened, but she got out of there. So I told her that I understood and I think she needs therapy or we need some marriage counseling again. Then she got worse. So I kept asking. Then the story changed. Then she got worse. Now she said she's told me everything, but I just don't fucking know. And worse still is that I feel like a complete failure. I have given her all I have the power to give. And that's not enough, that I'm completely crushed. So whilst Jenny is out with friend, I'm 3/4 of a bottle of Bundaberg deep writing this I now trust his choice. But I'm just so tired.